This episode is brought to you by Coffee Mate. Coffee Mate is the world's biggest coffee lover because we love all the ways you enjoy. Wait. Coffee Mate can't love coffee more than me. I'm a foodie. I went to Kyoto just for a nitro matcha latte. What? Oh, I have to finish the ad. Coffee Mate, for the love of coffee.
John!
What?
Red 7!
I don't know what Red 7 means.
Hot route!
I don't. What is hot route?
Will you just go stand on the other side, please?
Down!
Come on.
Ready, down, set, hut!
Hit me! Booyah! That's what we call a sack lunch. Nom, 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 nom.
It's time for the Soonerscoop.com postgame show presented by Eskridge Lexus in Oklahoma City. Eskridge Lexus is the official travel partner of Soonerscoop.com podcasts. Now, here's your road crew, Carey, Eddie, and Bob, wrapping up all the action and reaction from this week's game.
Not the unofficial. This is the Eskridge Lexus Postgame Podcast. You think with a 2:30 start, I'd be a little sharper, but we are here, brought to you by Eskridge Lexus. Go check them out at eskridgelexus.com or give them a call today, 405-755-9000, the official travel partner of Soonerscoop.com. And the Sooners win it, beat Tulane 34-19, actually covered the original spread on this thing that was 14.5 when it came out. It wasn't always easy. The offense certainly took a little bit of a nosedive in the second half, but the defense able to step up. Our Mason Thomas, Billy Bowman with a big interception, and they made the plays when it counted, and they pull it out today, 34-19. We welcome in now Eddie Radosevich and George Stoyan. Guys, I sat through most of the post-game press conference of the coaches, whether it be Brent Venables, Zach Alley, or Seth Luttrell. I got my question on with Seth Luttrell, man. Felt good getting back in the mix. But you guys were kind of, George, I know you were rolling about. Eddie, you were mostly working with the players, which I know you'll be able to go listen to them on the Sooner Scoop editorial page on YouTube channel on YouTube. But Eddie, what's kind of your takeaway from talking to the players as people are still, not able to quite get to all the post-game interviews yet?
Better, but probably still wanting more. I mean, I obviously think that the defense played extremely well today. I thought it was a pretty good day. From what we've seen offensively, I thought it was a step in the right direction, but there's still a lot to work on, obviously.
Jacob Sexton?
I didn't. Bob did. But there were times where it's like, okay, they're starting to lean on the run a little bit, which I thought was a good progression from what it's been. But, at the same time, I can't sit here and think that they're going to beat Tennessee next week. But let's be positive about it. It was a step in the right direction.
I think, just dealing with the Scoop account during the game, there was a lot less just tirades, I would say, in this than a week ago.
Check my mentions.
I'll check George's mentions later when I have the time, and I'm just looking for a good time.
I think that we know what's going to happen on social media, though.
Well, yeah, but all I'm trying to get to is I think for the most part, people did see progress, at least in that first half. I mean, you came out, the offensive line blocked people up. They were able to open running lanes. They weren't in third and long. They converted 5 of 6 third downs. I believe that was the first half. I think that was the entire first half. Jackson Arnold was able to, what I thought was kind of work with Deion Sanders in a way that we haven't really seen other than Deion Burks. Freaking Colorado, man. They're just everywhere. Deion Burks, I do that every time. Work with Deion Burks in a way that we haven't seen, which is, I know, I think it was either Aaron Murray, Jordan Rogers talked about it last week. Like, all his catches were happening with his back to the defense. He actually got to catch the ball running down the field today. He had a couple of great grabs that didn't end up being, in bounds, one in the end zone and then one on the far sideline going north to south. But I just felt overall it was a day of progression between Jackson and some of the receivers. You saw Zion Kearney get in there a little bit. Little bit of Blake Roberts, not Jackson Roberts, and also
Jake Roberts.
Jackson Roberts. I fucked up the name completely. God! Anyway, moving on.
Do we know the players on the team?
No, I don't. Apparently not. I only make all the thumbnails for everybody, and anyway. So I'm going to try this again. Blake Roberts is the tight end.
No.
Jake Roberts.
No,
Roberts.
Why do I think
no
it's Blake?
You say Blake every time.
I know, and I say Deion Sanders every time. Anyway, Bauer Sharp, I know what his name is. He still does not block very well. I
don't think it was going to change overnight, though, right?
No, but, I mean, and here's the thing. This is what I take out of it, George. You've got to hope that this offensive line gets incrementally better. And I think we saw a little bit of that in the first half. They're never going to be great.
I thought it was
they're never going to be dominant.
No, but I thought their best 5 played today, though, when Heath Ozida came in the game. And Heath Ozida made some mistakes.
And he screwed up, yes, and we saw it. But young guys are going to make mistakes, but they're going to get better, just like everybody else on this side. I think Josh Bates got better today. I mean,
and they opened up a lot in the offense, in the run game, in the quarterback run game. I think that opened some things up. And Jackson, they knew they couldn't push the ball down the field. And so they didn't push the ball down the field. And they took a lot of underneath stuff. I was telling Eddie earlier, they only had 1 pass attempt over 20 yards down the field today.
Well,
they only had, I think, 2 over 10 yards down the field.
And obviously Jackson Arnold running the ball was the difference offensively in the end, the touchdown late. I did ask Seth Luttrell about, if he had mixed emotions about running him so much. There was one play where he got up and it looked like he was hurting a little bit.
That was one thing after the game. He said he was pretty sore. Like, he was like, "Can I sit down?" I was like, "Yeah, you're fine."
you're Jackson Arnold.
He got pretty beat up today.
So, yeah, I mean, can that continue, especially going into the SEC? I mean, I will say this. I thought Tulane's defense, they had some guys that hit. I mean, they did have their best overall defensive player get knocked out of the game because of targeting.
Middle linebacker,
the Grubbs,
number 15, I think.
The Grubbs was who had the interception.
I don't know. I don't trust you on any of the names right now. But number 15, he'll hit the shit out of you.
I don't trust myself either. So 13 is Tyler Grubbs. 15 is Sam Howard.
It was interesting.
He led them in tackles with 10.
Summerall said after the game that when 32 got knocked out of the game with targeting, he thought they played better defensively. He's like, I don't know what happened, but we started playing a lot better defensively.
Well, I mean, and look, Oklahoma played great defensively. I mean, they started getting loose a little bit in the secondary, but OU was dominating in total yardage throughout most of the first half. And they 3 and out to start the game for Tulane, which is, I mean, let's face it, this team just took Kansas State to the wire. Some argued that they should have won that game. I mean, and then we saw Kansas State go out and kill Arizona.
I get what you're saying, but the week-to-week stuff in college football just doesn't mean a whole lot to me.
You have a theory that you want us to put out there.
Yeah, like we're watching Georgia right now, and everybody always says in football, like, anybody can get beat any week, right? That's what they always say in the NFL, any given Sunday. College football, it's like any given Saturday, your team can play like shit. Any given Saturday.
But, you've watched enough OU to know that the good teams, though, play like shit and still win. And that's what Georgia's trying to do right now. Up 13-12, a minute to go.
But even this is even bad for Georgia. I mean, I haven't seen Georgia play this bad in a while. Against a totally inferior opponent. In Kentucky.
I mean, from what I've seen, it looks like Kentucky played pretty well defensively today.
Yeah, but I don't think Kentucky's like anything.
But they put plenty of people in the NFL on defense.
I think they're better than what they played last week, for sure.
Yeah.
If Vandegrift, from what I've seen, would have played even halfway about as well as he did tonight, and I don't think he played extremely well
in the game.
They would have at least had a chance to win the game last week against South Carolina.
Yeah, I felt bad for Shane Beamer not being able to finish that off against LSU.
My point, though, with Oklahoma is we saw in the first half what this thing can look like. Like, if they can get to that point where they're putting together 14-play drives and they're moving the football, and maybe it's not that explosive right now, but if you can get away doing things like that, holding on to the football, right? Like they dominated the time of possession in the first half. Like, that's what this thing can look like when it all clicks in the right way. And, some of that is, I think that they stayed on time. They were able to run the football. I even said to Eddie in the instant reaction after the game, it's like, it's not that they were just like, running for 10 yards on first down, but they were running for 4 yards, which is a big difference from the 2 yards per carry that they were running on first down a week ago.
At first they were, and then it regressed a little bit in the second half. I mean, at one point, and some of it was when Heath Ozida came in, they just missed some combo blocks and things like that, and let a guy do a twist, and Ozida went for the nose guard instead of the defensive end. Like, some of that just happened, and it's going to happen with young guys. But like you said, I don't know, Eddie. I mean, I think I kind of spoke for all of us on a tweet on the Scoop account. Like, we all believe in that lineup of Tarquin, Nwiwu, Bates, until Branson Hickman is healthy.
Yeah, for now.
For now. And then Ozida and Jacob Sexton as the other tackle. Like, we all can, and maybe someday Eddie Pierre-Louis gets in the mix down the road. Maybe that happens, but he's not ready yet. But I think we all feel like that's the lineup where they could gel and get better. Be the best lineup they could put out.
Traveling to see your fave sports team is cool, but traveling with Amex Platinum for the big game is even better.
Right this way.
With access to dedicated card member entrances at select events, you can skip the line.
And one.
And with access to the Centurion Lounge,
He shoots a 3.
you can catch the next game on the way home. That's the powerful backing of American Express. Terms apply. Learn more at americanexpress.com/withAmex. Card member entrance access not limited to Amex Platinum Card.
Yeah, I think that's their best 5. And, you would obviously love to see Branson Hickman be able to play next week against Tennessee, because I do think that, I thought Josh played a little bit better tonight at center. It's still, you're wanting a little bit more from the center position. I thought a couple times that he laid guys and ended up, getting a tackle for loss or something. So,
well, and there were just times where that push just disappeared. Like, that was the thing in the first half. There was a noticeable push, and you saw the physicality shift from OU's advantage to Tulane's advantage in the second half, and that's probably a little bit to do with the center position.
And I think it also Tulane had a lot of free rushers tonight when they would bring blitzes, and that ultimately, I think, falls on the center in some capacity of like making sure everybody knows who they're picking up when a blitz comes. Now, I don't know if Josh made the wrong call on the pick 6 or if Ozida just missed his guy, like he didn't know where he was supposed to be. And Arnold can't throw that ball. Like he just cannot throw that there.
But he was under fire. I mean, 3 sacks in the second half.
Yeah,
it just fell
apart.
It
wasn't just that play. Like it was like free guys were coming constantly, it felt like, in the third and fourth quarter. And that kind of stuff, like you have to know your assignment on who you're picking up in blitzes. I think Josh is getting better. He's going to get better week to week. But if you get a guy back in Branson Hickman, it's not to say that's going to fix all of the offensive issues, but I do think it can help you clean up some things.
And look, I don't know what it's going to look like with Tennessee coming to town next week. I don't think it'll just be a blowout. I mean,
they got to find ways offensively to get the ball out quick and then be able to run it in some capacity, whether that's Jackson or Taylor Tatum getting more involved. I thought it was good to see him get way more involved in the offense tonight, like hitting the running back out of the backfield. Like if they want to hang around with Tennessee, they have to be able to, it's 1-2 throw. Like it can't be, there's no holding on to the ball in this game.
I thought they did a pretty good job too from the get-go of getting Jackson involved early and getting some easy passes. Some of the stuff that we talked about throughout the week that kind of, I thought, settled him in. Who knows what happens if you go out there and you don't put together a 14-play drive to open the game.
Yeah, and we talked about that. Good coordinators scheme, ways to get their quarterbacks comfortable early in the game to where, they're making good throws and good decisions, and we saw some of that. And you still didn't see Nic Anderson, which to me is concerning. I mean, for him to now miss 3 games when it was always what we heard was just nicked up a little bit from camp. I mean, it seems to be more serious than that. Or it's another one of these situations. I think, Eddie, you brought this up. Is this another deal? The way that Brent answered the questions, George, you asked him a couple of injury questions. It's pretty clear there's some frustrations between Brent and the coaching staff and the training staff as to who is allowed to play, who is allowed to be cleared, who is, it's like they get cleared and Brent's pretty straightforward. Yes, he's been cleared to practice, but for some reason, these guys don't get cleared to play.
Yeah, I'm done asking the injury questions every week.
Because you just feel like he just stares a hole through you?
Yes. I don't know how to get any more out of him at this point in terms of guys' availability. And I honestly,
like,
and I don't think it's his fault.
What there's things he wants to say, but he can't.
Yeah.
I believe that's what's going on.
And I think the availability reports will help with that some too. Like we won't know, or we will know more. So I don't know. It's wasting my time with those questions though.
If I'm Brent, I make the training staff fill out the injury reports.
Yeah, well, I would assume they will.
I guess you could list it or. Yeah, because you get fined for screwing around with that stuff.
Yeah, it's a lot of money. It's 6 figures, I believe, if you get found to be lying on that stuff. I don't know. The whole Nic Anderson thing is very concerning, though. This offense
he looked great in warm-ups.
He was going full speed in warm-ups. So I think that if you want to take that out of it, maybe that's a positive. And I would be surprised if he doesn't play next week. I'd be very surprised.
I think he's going to play. The one that I would not count on playing anytime soon is Andrel Anthony.
Yeah.
He just looks totally kind of almost absent from the
But that
team
was
in a way.
one thing that Brent said he practiced this week without the brace. He indicated that was the first time.
I thought he said that he just warmed up without the brace. I don't know if he said he practiced.
That's how I took it.
Okay.
Yes. Was that he just didn't wear it today. I don't know if he did during the week. They have to have Nic Anderson. Now, if you have Nic Anderson, I thought Deion Burks played really well today. Outside of the drop
Zion
in the
Kearney?
fourth quarter. Yeah, Zion Kearney had a good
catch.
day. Yeah.
Zion Reagans had a catch.
Yeah. Catch for each of them.
And again, but
Taylor Tatum a touchdown.
Another example of it's just gonna take. It's kind of like what Brett said earlier in the week. When you're playing this many young guys, you're gonna see them get better week to week, but it's gonna take some time. They weren't counting on. If you would have told them 2 months ago that, hey, you're gonna run a lineup out there at one point early in the season in a tight game, that Zion Reagans, Zion Kearney, and Brennan Thompson are going to be your 3 wide receivers out there on a pivotal third down, I think the coaching staff would have been like, what the hell happened?
Yeah.
One target for Jaquiz Petaway today.
Yeah, he was a little bit overthrown, but it was good to see him out there. I don't know how many snaps he ended up playing, but...
Yeah, just as many targets as Jackson Arnold did.
Yeah, that was a dumb play call.
It just was poorly executed, too. It was just too... It was too hurried and rushed, and it just didn't look good. I wonder how. It made me question. I guess you can run that stuff in practice all the time, but then when you get in a game,
that was the one play call. We're talking about the trick play
to the throw out to Tatum.
That was the one play call all day that I was like, that was a really bad play call. I thought the rest of the play calling was actually pretty good.
Yeah.
Well, look, and I get into this with people a lot, and. I get it. Everyone has their spin on what needs to be fixed in this offense. For some people, it's play calling. For some people, it's personnel decisions. For other people, it's just fire this guy. I mean, the thing is, unless you have an offensive line that is capable of executing your offense, you're dead. I don't want to say that. You're screwed. I mean, you really are. You have no chance at succeeding if guys aren't blocking the people that you can't run the ball. It's like people are like, oh, this play call in the second half, they're like, this play calling so predictable. Run, pass, punt. Because you don't pick up anything on the first and second down because you run the ball. Then you have third and long. Yes, that's what they were doing in the first half, though, and they were blocking up the run, and they were gaining yardage on first and second down, and then they had a manageable third down, and that's why they were 5 of 6. At some point, everyone, please stop just throwing tantrums online and realize that an offense needs a foundation, and that foundation is the offensive line. Until they get better, this offense isn't going to get better, and you're not going to know if Jackson Arnold is a great quarterback or if any of these receivers are going to be good in the future. That offensive line has to keep getting better, and I think mission accomplished today in the first half. They were better, but... Oh, we've got
nothing. The game's
1
over.
second. Well, clock stopped, though.
Yeah, the game's over.
It's over. Anyway, sorry, there's my rant. It's over. I'm done.
I thought Jackson today was kind of a gamer, though, at the end.
Absolutely.
That was a big-time run by him.
Yeah.
And not just that run, but throughout the game. I mean, he was putting his body at risk, which I don't necessarily like, but he was banged. Eddie, you said after the game, he was banged up, and he let everybody kind of know about it.
Yeah, he just went through it today. He played a really complete game just in terms of getting beat up. I do think, though, that the stuff with the fans and people second-guessing what they're doing offensively, especially in the third quarter, that's just code for they didn't move the football. They didn't execute. I'm sure that there was not a whole lot of people just saying, such and such just missed a block there, or they just didn't execute. It looked ugly, and they're going to have to navigate those moments, whether it be slowing things down. The worst thing possible in the fourth into the third quarter or throughout the third quarter and then into the fourth quarter was the fact that they just kept sending the defense back out there. I don't think that you want to get into that style of play, because I thought even in the beginning of the fourth quarter, and particularly after the Jackson Arnold pick six, it looked like some of those guys were getting tired.
Well, it also it showed you that the offense is quick to lose confidence right now. Like, they know that they're being put through the ringer on the outside noise and all that. Once they threw that pick six, and even leading up to that, just not being able to run the ball early and after halftime, like, you could tell the offense just kind of lost any momentum that they gained in the first half.
They also, I just thought the game control was not good today from OU. Like, they, especially in the second half, they're up, a couple scores, and it felt like they were just like going tempo like they always do.
Too much tempo.
Yeah, too much tempo.
They weren't running the ball well.
It was like, run the clock, man. Like, your defense just gave up a big drive. Like, I don't care, like, like if you can't run the ball, but try and do something that keeps the clock running. It just felt like they weren't. I thought the management of the game just wasn't very good, to be honest. Overall, the field goal thing, I don't know what the hell happened on the delay of game on the field goal.
Time just ran out. I mean, he kicked a 55-yarder.
Yeah, but like, how does the time run out on a field did they not get out there quick enough? Were they just,
they just didn't get it snapped in time.
I think that they were late to get out, because it was coming out of a timeout too, was it not?
I don't know.
I believe it was. I think they were coming out of a timeout, and it just I don't know. I don't know if it snuck up on them. You would like to see him use a timeout. I hate to burn a timeout. It was not?
No. It was.
I thought that there was a stop and play, or maybe they were thinking about going. What was
it? It was an incomplete pass. It was 4th and 6, and it was on the Tulane 32.
Yeah,
and they got a delay of game, and then they had the punt.
Not great. He knocked it down. Credit to Keltner. He knocked it down too.
There's a lot of things that this team has to learn how to do, and winning is one of those. And I mean, kicking the ball out of bounds after Jackson Arnold scored the touchdown. I mean, like, how much worse can you? I mean, that's always the sign of, like,
I mean, he just shanked it.
What
too.
are you doing?
Yeah. He just totally
that was
shanked
so
that.
bad. And in a bigger game, that's the kind of shit that will get you beat.
Want to take a second to remind you, the official travel partner of Soonerscoop.com, and man, these guys have always taken care of us. Eskridge Lexus, they've sent us to places to help you guys get great coverage from Soonerscoop.com. But they're excited to be the presenting sponsor for the Sooner Scoop postgame pod. We don't need a drunk pod. I didn't get any requests for the drunk pods tonight.
Josh might join us here.
Okay. Might have to set up the Zoom if that's to happen. Fine. We'll take a break after this, and nobody will know, and we'll see if we get him. But no, great presenting sponsor, great friends of the program. They are here on Campus Corner each and every home game, set up so you can see some of the Eskridge Lexus vehicles that they've got out there, like the GX550 with the exclusive Overtrail package. It'll be a perfect addition to anyone's tailgate. I think it needs to be George's next car. Eskridge Lexus also never adds any dock fees or bogus add-ons that you don't want. I know, like, all through COVID and everything, when everybody else was jacking up the prices of their cars, Eskridge wasn't. And they just don't do that. So for all Sooner Scoop subscribers and listeners, if you're buying a new or pre-owned vehicle from Eskridge Lexus, mention that you're a scooper and you'll receive $1,000 off any vehicle in stock. Shop online at eskridgelexus.com or give them a call today at 405-755-9000. And thanks to Eskridge Lexus for always being a part of the postgame podcast. All right, we're welcoming in Josh McCuistion, who's got his duties done at the website, Soonerscoop.com. And Josh, we've already kind of had our say in this.
I feel like the lights are so much brighter than they usually are in here.
It's because Josh has got, like, the rave going on at his house right now. I don't know what's
movie night.
I think I don't have any lights on in my room. All that you're seeing is a reflection of the TV that's going in the room. So that is why my room looks very dark.
Turn our lights off. I'm sure it's fine then.
It's all good.
Anyway, no one at home can see this, and it's only going to lead to more YouTube comments about why is this on video. Anyway, Josh, 34-19. You are our offensive line guru around here, so we've talked a lot about that, obviously. But our thoughts so far. Yes, improvement in the first half, but we still saw a line that kind of wilted away by the end of the game.
I think that's fair, guys. Like I took away at halftime, it was like, okay, this is starting to come together. You're starting to see this work. I thought they found some consistent stuff in the run game. I really was like, okay. And then was there any explanation for what happened with Logan Howland in the second half? Like, why was he not part of things? Was that discussed at all?
Who was that?
Because he started and no, you're fine. Logan Howland, like it was just like he was not part of things at all in the second half, and I don't know what happened.
He got beat on the early in the game on the one drive in the first half they didn't score. He got beat on a play, and I don't know if he gave up a sack or something, but they pulled him after that and never got back in the game.
And again, I'm kind of standing on a mountain for Heath Ozide on Twitter right now.
Oh, we're doing the same. We're all on the same page with you.
It's interesting, like how those sticks seem to move. Like Heath had a horrible miss that ended up being a pick six. Like it couldn't have suffered a worse ramification, and that's okay. And he's going to run out. And I think Heath played largely quite well. But that's a weird thing. And there were other moments where Logan struggled. Like he still, like he can get overpowered. He can play a little high. I don't know if he's as violent with his hands as he needs to be. He's a redshirt freshman. Like there's a laundry list of issues. Like, so you get it. But again, in the first half, it was like, okay, this is clicking. This is kind of working. But I do think, guys, we've talked, just to kind of wrap it up, we've talked for a few weeks why Jake Sexton has had to play left guard. I think on that play there with Heath Ozide, you can see why. There is stuff like that is just hard to replicate without experience.
Well, and Josh, it's like, I got into an argument with a guy on Twitter as well, on the Scoop account. I behaved myself pretty well, but the gist of it was, we kind of stand behind the Tarquin, Wee-Woo, Bates until Hickman comes back, Ozida, and Sexton lineup. Like I feel like we all believe that's the best possible lineup moving forward. And so there was
it might not be the best lineup, but it's the best available lineup.
Yeah, the best available lineup. Yes, thank you for saying that. But it became this thing. Well, they ran a twist, and Heath Ozida went to the nose tackle and just completely let the guy run through. And the guy's like, "Well, they teach you that in junior high." I'm like, "Well, that doesn't matter. Like, if it's that easy of a play, he's gonna figure it out." Like, it was his first game getting really good starting action. Like, if you're telling me that his screw up was so elementary that it sickens you, I'm telling you that it's so elementary that it's gonna be easy to fix.
What's new from Apple? There's the new iPhone 16 Pro, built for Apple Intelligence. And it comes with the all-new camera control, giving you an easier way to quickly access your camera tools. The new Apple Watch Series 10 has our biggest display and our thinnest design ever. And this? It's the sound of active noise cancellation, now available on one of 2 new AirPods 4 models. So quiet. Check out all of the new products and new features at apple.com. You can even buy yourself something new. See apple.com for product availability updates. Apple Intelligence coming this fall.
You should respond to everybody in my mentions, Carey, with that attitude.
I'll go home and have some whiskey, and I'll see what I can do.
Actually, no, we're good. We're good.
No. You should burn your house down. Carey, too far. It's too far. You can't do that. But no, but that's the stuff. And people always misunderstand that. Like, guys, it's not like you get to college and all of a sudden you've reinvented offensive line play. Like, it's not like, do they run counter in high school? Yes, of course they do. The speed, everything moves faster. Reaction has to be quicker. You have to be thinking about multiple things, and you are adding different stuff. Like, okay, this call, I'm checking that. There's a lot of stuff that you have to add in, and then on top of it, you have to do the stuff you've known since junior high. Like, they think it's just like, oh, well, no, that's easy. You've always known to do that. It's the same as it was when you were 12. No, it doesn't work like that. There are still all these other layers on top of it. Plus, everybody you're doing against it is doing it faster and better, and they're stronger than they ever were. So, like, yes, he knows better than what happened, but that doesn't mean as a redshirt freshman, like you said, Carey, getting his first real substantial action, you're not going to have some mental bust. I get people telling me like, well, it's time to put Eddie Pierre-Louis out there. Eddie Pierre-Louis has been on campus for 3 months. You don't think he's going to have some busts? Like, it's going to happen, guys.
Well, and Josh, that's the whole offensive line. It's all incremental improvement. It's not going to happen overnight. And I think what the positive you take out of tonight is there was incremental improvement. Now, there could be a lot of regression with that Tennessee defensive line coming to town next week. And you may think that you have to go back to the drawing board. But what you have to do is get an offensive line that can at least be okay, like just not blow up every play before it starts. So you give Jackson Arnold and Deion Burks a chance to play together and get better as a pass catching and throwing combo, or you get the running game. Like Javonte Barnes had his best day of the year today. Now he didn't break anything big, but him getting 4, 5, 6, 7 yards is a hell of a lot better than getting stuffed at the line of scrimmage. And you've seen plenty of that this year. Today you saw some improvement, I thought, from that.
Yeah, I mean, guys, I felt like today, if they needed 3 yards, they could probably go get 3 yards. I didn't feel like that the first 2 weeks. That was not something that I thought, like 3rd and 3, okay, they've got options here. Like 3rd and 3 the last 2 weeks, it was like, well, they better throw the ball because they're not going to get it on the ground. So, guys, to me, I think the offensive line's coming together. I think it will only get better once Branson Hickman's ready to return, whenever that may be, or Troy Everett or whoever it is. Just some veteran experience and some, a guy that really understands what they're trying to do at center. And I thought Josh Bates was better tonight than he was against Houston. So I thought that was a positive move. And again, it comes with experience. He's getting a little better.
And you know what else we said, Josh, is the reason that you can't play Heath Ozaida is because he is playing next to a young center that isn't even making the calls himself. So it was going to be difficult. If tonight is the worst you see from that combo, you can live with that.
Yeah, I agree. And again, if Jackson Arnold doesn't make the catastrophic mistake in that situation, people are not nearly as livid about that play. But because it ended up so badly, it becomes, oh, well, that's just an unforgivable mistake. No, it's the same mistake it would have been if Jackson throws it in the dirt, at some receiver's feet. Like, it's the same mistake from Ozaida's side. It just became worse because of how the play turned out. So there's more to that. But, guys, for me, at this point, my biggest concern is the vertical passing game. Like, it does not exist right now. Like, there's nothing downfield. If I'm a safety playing against Oklahoma, I don't need to be more than 10 yards down the field because nothing's going beyond me. Like, and even if it does, they can't seem to complete it.
But Josh, don't you think, like, I think that was somewhat the game plan today. Like, I think they know they don't have any vertical passing game right now, and so they were just like, you know what? Like, I felt like they made it easy for Jackson today. Like, they gave him a lot of easy throws and just kind of took it and just rode with it. Like the one drive where they just kept hitting Bowers sharp underneath. I was like, okay, like if that's what they're giving you, that's what they're giving you. Like I just think until they get some of these other receivers going, like trying to complete these 25-yard passes down the field where guys may not even be in the right spot half the time, it's like what are you even attempting? It just didn't feel like it was a part of the game plan today. Like I was telling before you got on here, Josh, they only had one attempt of over 20 yards down the field. And I do think that was like by design today. Like there was no...
Was that the one that Burks cut out of bounds?
Yes. Yeah. But and then they had a couple that...
I think so. They had two early in the third quarter. One was to Petaway, and
that Petaway one was 19, I believe. It was 19 yards. So just
okay.
Yeah.
I got you.
I know what you're talking about. But like there was definitely none of like what we saw a week ago where... You know, Arnold took like 4 or 5 shots deep down the field and they were just like basically thrown out of bounds. Like, I think that they probably this week were like, you know what? Like, those aren't hitting right now. Like, let's try and keep it simple. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. And I'm not saying, I think, Josh, they eventually need to find the vertical passing game. Like, it has to be a part of the offense to open other things up. But I do think today somewhat of the game plan was like, let's just get the ball out quick and have some easy throws for Jackson.
Here's one question I have. I didn't ask it tonight. Well, the coach would never tell you anyway, but is there any thinking that maybe the Jackson Arnold run heavy, because Seth did say that some of the runs were planned, some of them were not, but is it possible that this offensive staff, with all the criticism they've been getting about not being very innovative or not being good play callers, like, is it possible to say, okay, we're not able to run the ball right now with this offensive line, let's get more runs with Jackson Arnold because that could take some pressure off some other things in our offense?
Well, I think it's definitely what they decided to do. I mean, I think Seth said as much after the game. He said, we wanted to run Jackson this year. We didn't want to run him this early in the season, but we were left with no other option. Like, I think they knew that the quarterback run game was always going to be there for them. Like, they were going to be able to find some success in it.
But the lack of running game jump-started
I think that they were hoping that they weren't going to have to show that until, like, the Tennessee game.
But, it's now something that is an added extra dimension that every team is going to have to prepare for.
Yeah.
I mean, because, guys, he was 2 or 3 strides from that one being a touchdown. I mean, he really showed some.
Yeah.
I think more than anything, I think a lot of teams would go, oh, there's more there than I thought, as far as, because he got more out of that play than I thought he was gonna. I mean, he fooled Carey, I know you were watching it too. The cameraman, you name it, he fooled everybody on that play.
He definitely got this cameraman. That's for sure. That is for sure. It was a great sell.
The first reply to my tweet about that run was Michael Hawkins would have scored on that play.
Oh, these people are sick.
I'm like, oh my god.
It's not even.
Did you notice how silent that contingent was in the first half? Like, there was nothing about that, and then suddenly in the second half, like, oh yeah, Hawkins, got to get him in there.
There's a difference between a troll and just. I feel like I just want to give some OU fans a hug because, like, you are. I see so many self-hating OU fans out there that just like they just shit on OU. That's like their pastime, and yet they're OU fans. Like, they're OU fans, but they can't help it. They're just. I don't know. I can't imagine being around that type of person all the time.
There's just there's a lot of and it's both sides. I mean, it's being a fan. I think that.
But when do you get joy out of rooting? Seeing your team play.
I think 80% of those people are getting joy, but that's their outlet to bitch and complain, other than turning to their buddy at the bar and bitching about it.
They love to that's their
outlet. It is what it is. It's part of the process.
Yeah. I did get.
I don't know. I don't ever see it during the games though. I don't really check Twitter that much. So
yeah.
Your teen requested a ride, but this time not from you. It's through their Uber Teen account. You drive your teenager around a lot to their friend Jacob's house, their other friend Jake's house, to James's, to Jaden's, to Jalen's, to.
Mom, this is Jake's house, not Jacob's.
Now with an Uber Teen account, your teen can request a ride under your supervision. They'll ride with a highly rated driver, and with live trip tracking, you'll follow along the whole ride to their friends' houses that all sound the same. Add your teen to your Uber account today. See app for details.
Bye, Mom.
It is reaction. I think everyone that was screaming about play calling online today, when they get home tonight and they look at the totality of the game from beginning to end, they have to say to themselves, okay, it's getting a little bit better. Well, I don't know if this is what I wanted. This definitely isn't what I wanted, but it's not what I thought it was 2 weeks ago or a week ago.
I thought, and Josh, maybe you could chime in on this, I thought that the offensive staff had a really good game plan today, and that was noticeable on the first few drives of the game. Like, to be able to go down the field 13, 14 play drives, like that's the sign of like having a good script, sticking to your script, and staying ahead of the chains. I mean, John Summerall said after the game, he's like, somebody asked him, how come you guys weren't able to slow him down offensively, or defensively in the first half? And he's like, well, when they have 3rd and 2 every time, like, there's not a perfect defensive play call. And like, that's the first time I'm like, that's the first time OU's had that all year, is that they're having 3rd and 2. So I thought the game plan today offensively was the best that they've had so far this season. It fell apart in the second half, but I also don't know if that's the game plan or them just, having some plays where they just didn't execute.
You want to hear an interesting stat?
Sure.
Against Kansas State, or against Tulane, Kansas State against Tulane, Avery Johnson ran 8 times for 40 yards for a 5.0 average.
Yeah.
Which I think we would all agree. Avery Johnson, phenomenally athletic quarterback.
But I also, again, I don't like comparing week to week and opponents to opponents just because it can change so much. I'm sure Tulane had a huge defensive emphasis on stopping Avery Johnson from running the football. I bet that wasn't as big of a
no, but I'm just
Tulane
saying, it is interesting that, Jackson Arnold against a team that has stopped the run game a little bit was able to do what he did today. I think that's notable.
Guys, when Tulane came in 2021, I was like, that's not a good football team that OU that's a pretty good football team OU played today. Like clearly the best of the three that we've seen.
George won't let us talk
they've got
about
a real
the
chance to
Arizona
win that
game either,
conference.
Because Kansas State murdered Arizona.
Well, I
But
just
you
think
say that doesn't matter.
Well, no, I'm not saying it doesn't matter. You're twisting what I'm saying, Carey. I'm just saying that
I'm
comparing
just fighting with you for no reason.
I know. It's just I just don't
Who
like
plays tight end for Oklahoma, Carey?
Jake Roberts.
All right, we're good. We're good. We had a little flub earlier, Josh.
bad.
And Deion Burks is the receiver, not
He said
Deion
it was Deion Sanders.
Oh, well, that's good for the algorithm. We're going to hit some
we're just trying
hit some
to
hits
meet
out of that.
all
That's
those.
great.
I see what you're saying, George, and I agree to a certain extent. I thought it was a good game, though. If you would have told me before the game OU was going to have 349 yards of offense, and they were going to win by 15, I would have said that's a really, really good game.
Yeah.
They went out and played really well.
Especially if you would have told me that a week ago.
Oh, yeah.
Like after the Houston game.
100%.
All right, we've talked a lot about the offense, but we need to give some flowers to R. Mason Thomas, to Billy Bowman.
He
although
arrived.
he wasn't, he was. Other people helped him with that interception. But man, R. Mason Thomas. I even thought Des Malone had some really good moments today.
He had a really nice shed a block, got the tackle in the red zone.
Yeah, played
That
the
was a
screen
really
game
nice
really,
play.
really. And then I think a couple plays later, he had a big play. Maybe it was a knockdown or a PBU. I can't remember exactly. And I think R. Mason Thomas might have had a second a play.
Well,
in between
he
that.
had the quarterback hurry that really could have been called a safety.
Yeah.
In the second quarter, I was
that
surprised
looked like
that they
did
it.
It was grounding.
There was, like he wasn't
grounding. Outside the tackle box.
Right, it would have been a grounding.
He was
in the
very
end zone.
close. Yeah,
there was nobody around him.
No,
that he threw to, but that was R. Mason creating the pressure, and I believe it was DJ Terry coming up the middle
That's
as well.
right, yeah.
I thought Terry had a really nice game. Danny Stutzman, once again, had
Led the team
an
in tackles.
exceptional day. 12 tackles, as Brent noted after the game, over 300 tackles for his career.
You know what? Here's one thing about Danny that I think should be brought up is the helmet thing is working really well with Danny.
Because
you can see he's getting the call and he's relaying it to everybody, and he's even looking back at the sideline and saying, "What about this over here?" The communication really is working at a high level, it seems, on the defense compared to the offense.
And I will say, not to get it all the way back to the offense, but Jackson did say after the game that for some reason, he had no communication problems today with the headset. He said it was loud, had no problem, never had to do the hands over the ears type thing. But yeah, defensively, we talked about this on Monday during the recruiting report. Me, Josh, and George did, just in terms of, I thought this was going to be a really good test. Are they really the defense that everybody thinks that they are? And I think we walk out of there saying, yes, they are this defense that maybe they are going to be borderline elite by the end of the season. But again, there are little areas where you want to shore up. If this thing's going to be as truly as elite as people want to talk about it as it is, you're going to have to nitpick, and you're going to have to always be wanting more from this group. You got to find a way to marry this with the offense in terms of not putting them out there in the fourth quarter, having to come up with stops to win the game. And they did today, and the defense came through with the interception, and then R. Mason Thomas just going absolutely wild at the end of the game in the fourth quarter with the consecutive sacks and the strip sack and the pass.
Did they credit him? For some reason, I saw somewhere that
he was credited with 3 sacks.
Okay, so they gave him a third sack for the
and
strip
a forced
sack.
fumble.
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yes.
And the forced fumble. Yeah.
And all of his tackles were solo tackles of 3.
That's the R. Mason
and a
Thomas
pass breakup and a quarterback hurry. He had a very, very productive day.
That's the R. Mason Thomas that we've been hearing about. That was the guy.
I mean, that's huge.
And I said it during the game, and I said it to Zach Alley in my question after the game. It's I feel like the last few weeks we've watched him, and he just is so close to making that play, and he just couldn't get there. He's a half second late. and he just finally got there the last 6 minutes of the game. I mean, it was like, holy shit, like they've got an elite edge rusher. Now he's got to go do it, in the SEC and against better offensive tackles and all of that. But it was awesome. It was awesome to see that from him.
Yeah, and just fighting through the injuries, and let's face it, that was not a great pass rush throughout the day today. And they were sending people. That Tulane offensive line was really good. People were having problems getting home. I mean, even Danny Stutzman, like they just weren't able to solve that offensive line and get through. And I mean, it kind of shows you why Mintz is able to have so much success as a young quarterback, because he's got a really good offensive line in front of him.
Yeah, guys, you would see them, and they were bringing heat from all over. I thought I liked Zach Alley's game plan. I thought they were very aggressive with him, and I will say I also think, Carey, there's a few clips. There was one, I want to say midway through the third quarter, where Jaden Jackson kind of gets around the guard, but then he kind of immediately flattens out. I think Oklahoma was very mindful of keeping Mensah in the pocket. Like I think they were like, I think that was some of it too, was kind of within the game plan of, okay, that's fine. Go get him if you have your shot. But if you're going to leave, somebody else hanging out to dry, stop. Don't exceed your rush lane. Don't get too deep. Don't give him an easy running lane to fill in. So I thought they were really smart about how they did it. But yeah, R. Mason Thomas, guys, I am just it was stupid luck, because I said, right as R. Mason gets his first sack, I said something like, he's had a 3-sack day. He just has 1 sack to show for it or something like that. And then he proceeded to get 2 more. I had no idea that he was going to close out in the last 5 minutes with 3 sacks. But that, guys, that is something Oklahoma needs so badly, is just one of those ends to be a consistent problem. And we've all been waiting for it to be him. But, man, he had some plays long before that where I was like, wow, this guy's starting to take it to a new level.
I'm going to be very interested to see what his snap count was yesterday.
I got
today.
it.
Oh, they already have it out?
Yep, they're already up 49 snaps.
PJ Adebore, how many snaps do you have?
18.
Seems like he played a lot today, especially when they got him into third and long and passing downs.
That's the most he's played this year in a game.
How much did Ethan Downs versus Trace Ford have?
Ethan Downs had 45. Trace Ford had 24.
Now, Trace, I noticed he was on Billy Bowman's interception. He was the guy with the pressure on the quarterback.
They love that. They have not shown this until today. This new look on defense where they were bringing in Trace Ford, PJ, R. Mason Thomas, and Grayson Halton.
With 1 D tackle.
And Grayson Halton was the 1 defensive tackle. And they're moving guys around. Danny will walk up. Trace Ford will drop as a linebacker, and then they'll rush them all. And it caused a lot of problems for Tulane.
Yeah, that's NFL stuff. I like that a lot.
Yeah,
and we saw really for the first time in a while, we saw a really decent Peyton Bowen punt return today.
Caught all of them.
Yep,
cleanly. Like that's a step in the right direction. It's a step in the right direction.
He only played 14 snaps.
What happened on one of the punt returns today, going from north to south? And I thought that Peyton had a really nice return, and then they took it all the way back. Did he step out of bounds?
Was that the one that went way over his head?
I don't remember this. I just guess I didn't catch this.
Yeah. Okay. I'll look it up.
Was OU
sure.
moving toward the south end zone, Eddie?
Yes.
They called that back? I missed that part, I guess.
I don't know. It was pretty hot. I might have blacked out.
The one he got to like the 40 or something like that?
I really don't remember.
Yeah. But no, I mean, defensively, look, Gentry Williams was not dressed out today.
No.
That obviously
got a lot of Eli Bowen today.
Yeah, some Eli Bowen. Saw a lot of Jacoby
19
Johnson.
snaps for Eli Bowen.
He was out there early today too. I thought that Woody playing the cheetah played pretty well. I know that George, you said that you thought there was some communication problems every once in a while.
They would, in maybe Josh could see this in the idiot on Monday, but it felt like there was a couple times that when Tulane ran a lot of long crossing routes.
Yeah.
And when they would come across the field, it felt like Omasigo or Kanik or Woody weren't in the right zone on those, and that's how there's a couple plays.
They were passing them off to zones without people in them.
Yes, and I know for sure one was Omasigo didn't drop where he was supposed to, and it left a guy wide open. But other than that, I mean, I thought they played really well. They're super athletic at that position. Obviously, you want to get Kendall Dolby back, but Sammy Omosigo, I think he's a ball player, man.
Earning your degree online doesn't mean you have to go about it alone. At Capella University, we're here to support you when you're ready. From enrollment counselors who get to know you and your goals, to academic coaches who can help you form a plan to stay on track. We care about your success and are dedicated to helping you pursue your goals. Going back to school is a big step, but having support at every step of your academic journey can make a big difference. Imagine your future differently at capella.edu.
And we understand that the Dolby situation was a concussion that he suffered during practice this week.
And Brent talked about that in the post game, that they were kind of waiting all week to find out.
During the game?
I think it might have been late in the Houston game.
Yeah, because you thought he didn't play that much in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, and it was Woody out there a lot. So I think it might have happened in the game. I don't know, but Brent didn't seem all that concerned about it. But I don't know with the injury stuff. So who knows?
By the way, I don't know what year he is, but I was really impressed by the Dante Fleming kid from Tulane, the receiver.
Yeah.
I mean,
talking to his parents after the
Mario
game.
Williams is Mario Williams. I mean, kind of know what he is. He's fast.
I think part of the game plan was taking Mario Williams out of the equation.
OU.
Yeah. Like I think they obviously knew about his speed. Like they did not want him to get behind the defense.
This is going to be a little bit of a critique, and maybe we'll be talking about it all week. But I did think that Tulane missed some stuff over the top that through 3 games, Nico has not missed. And I think that's a little bit of a concern going into next week.
It's
I think a little bit might be understating it a little bit.
That's a big
there's
concern.
no doubt. There's no doubt. Yeah. There's no doubt there were some underthrows. There were some early. There were a lot of overthrows.
I would say that's the one concern with the defense right now because I think they've been amazing against the run. Like they have been. Teams cannot run the football on them.
But Kenai was beat deep early.
Kenai was beaten. It's just been, and you saw that even in Houston and Temple. There was a couple times where the quarterback just missed, overthrew or underthrew or whatever, or just missed the guy. And you can't let that happen next week. And I also should say that like. That shit happens. Like that's college football. Like guys are going to get beat every once in a while, and you're going to give up a big play. So just be prepared for it next week because it probably will happen a couple times.
It's going to be.
Let's just stop anybody. If you think Oklahoma's going to hold Tennessee to 17, just check your that's not going to happen. Like OU's going to have to score some points to win this game.
Yes.
Get first one to 40.
40?
I mean, is that what we're talking about?
OU's not winning that game.
40.
No, I mean, I don't think they can score 40. But
I think
is
if
that
OU
what you
wants
have to get to beat Tennessee?
If OU wants to beat Tennessee, I think they have to get it to at least somewhere north of 28. And I don't know if this.
I would say 35. Yeah, I think that's where I think they'd have to score 35 to 38 to have a chance to win.
That's
because
fair.
I think Tennessee's going to score about somewhere from 28 to 35 or more. Like they could score more.
I think if OU holds them to 31 or less, they've done a pretty strong job. That's a really good offense.
I think they'll have to force more than 2 turnovers.
Yeah, they'll need
in that world.
I think to win this game, and we'll get into it during the week.
Sure.
But they're going to need a couple turnovers, maybe a big special teams play. Like they're going to need some shit to really go their way.
Yeah.
To set up some short fields, or you get a Billy Bowman pick six, or a strip sack, or whatever it is. Like. That's
turnovers that lead to short fields.
That's how you're going to win
advantage of. But on the flip side of that, you have to take advantage of every opportunity or every turnover.
And you also can't turn the ball over.
Yeah.
I don't think you can turn the ball over.
And you have to create some turnovers.
So there's a lot of things that Oklahoma's going to need to do.
But
OU's going to need to be about perfect is all we're saying. Yeah, just about perfect, and they'll be.
We don't want. Look, I don't want to do anything to crap on this week that's coming up. Game day is coming here. We haven't even mentioned that so far. It's going to be a huge week and. My best advice is don't be a self-hating OU fan. Just enjoy the moment. It's going to be a big week. Josh Heupel coming back. I'm sure there's going to be some things for him.
There's going to be a lot of this talk this week, but this is the biggest home game OU's played since 2012. Notre Dame. The last time the game day was here in full. Game day was here for 2020 COVID game against Oklahoma State. I don't really count that. Their fans weren't allowed to come to all that. This is the hottest ticket in Norman. I know that, George, you've said that a couple times since that Notre Dame game in 2012. And I think just the ramifications of everything that comes with the opening SEC play, all the eyes of the country are going to be on Norman, Oklahoma on Saturday night.
Get on that Game Time app and buy your tickets before
Absolutely.
the Tennessee fans
Terms
buy them all
apply.
up.
Terms apply.
Terms apply. Anyway, outside of that, guys, I mean...
the University of Florida has called a Board of Trustees meeting for Sunday morning.
Are you serious?
Oh, no.
What a disaster.
It's, I mean, a full-blown... There's a lot of places that you look around the
Florida
country and
State.
you go, yeah, like Florida State just...
that was awful.
They might be better off just packing it in and saying, we're going to opt out of the rest of the season. We're getting ready for 2025.
We're just going to concentrate on our lawsuits.
I mean...
and stop playing football.
Possibly.
Guys, within that same line of thinking, explain to me what's happening at Boston College. They're a functional football team, and I don't understand it. I thought Bill O'Brien was a dumpster fire.
I think that there is a part of me that, and I base a lot of this off of the Hard Knocks when Bill O'Brien was on it. I think Bill O'Brien's a pretty good football coach.
I think Penn State ruins everyone.
He was good at Penn State.
Yeah, he was good at Penn State.
He was good there. It was Alex.
Stink on him.
He almost ruined Bryce Young at Alabama, which now maybe
he got the most out of him that you could get.
Yep. You wonder a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
how's Jeff Lebby doing tonight?
Not good.
I think that
Very
there's
bad.
a couple people out there that made the mention that he might end up being one of the worst Power 5 hires since who was it? Charlie Weiss, I think, is what Dan Wolken had tweeted out.
I think it's too early to have that take, but
you
it's
can't
certainly
lose-
not going well.
You can't get beat by 24 at home to Toledo. And I think
No.
Toledo actually, like Toledo and Miami, Ohio, I think are supposed to be pretty good in the MAC this year. But yeah, that's not great.
I think say of all the MAC teams, Toledo is one of the few that actually has a little money to spend, can do a little bit. I mean, they are easily the most well-funded of the MAC from my understanding. But again, you also have to remember Mississippi State went to Arizona State last week, played a really physical game, got beat up a little bit. I'm sure they were down about that going the way it did. But, you're right. An SEC team cannot lose at home, to Toledo. Now, I will say, in the interest of all those listening out there that are Survivor Series guys, really appreciate the Vanderbilt Commodores. Go ahead and tripping up for me here. I've got that job's going to get a lot shorter this week. A lot of Vanderbilt faith in the Survivor Series this week. So Georgia State, a big clap for them.
Yeah, you don't just walk into Georgia State, or was it Georgia State or Georgia Southern and win a game?
Wait, did Vanderbilt lost?
Yes.
Vanderbilt lost to Georgia State.
That is hilarious.
Didn't they lose horribly too? Did I see that?
I don't think it was
36-32.
But I mean, was it? Oh, okay. But it was something in the end they screwed up, right?
I don't know. I haven't seen that of it.
I think they scored a touchdown, then gave up a kickoff return on the very next play or something like that.
Georgia State upends Vanderbilt on late touchdown passes. The first headline I found.
That is hilarious.
15
because
seconds left.
I won't say his name. I think everybody here will know who it is. But I went on Carey, your radio station today before the game, and a couple guys were on there talking about how much better teams in the SEC are than OU and how much progress they're making. And one of the teams that was mentioned was, Vanderbilt's, they're a lot better football team this year.
Yeah, because they won a game last week.
Yes.
All right. Well,
wait. Like better than
I'm sure
Oklahoma, or just they've improved?
Just that they are that they're an improving football team. I don't think he was implying that they are better than Oklahoma, but just that they're improving, but Oklahoma's not. And I was like, it's week 3. I don't think you should be talking about Vanderbilt.
I think that there was some improvement today.
I think so too. They showed in that first half what this could look like. And I get it. It's Tulane, but Tulane's a good football team. But if you can do what Oklahoma did in the first half, they're going to win 8 games this year. I believe that. And I think that you look around the league and it's going to be really tough, but there's also going to be weeks that maybe you catch a Missouri not playing their best football game, I think you can go win at an Auburn. I think Texas looks really good.
Yes.
I don't know if they can win that game. Alabama looks really good. Ole Miss, I don't know about LSU, so wishy-washy. South Carolina, wishy-washy, but you can win those football games if you play like you did in the first half today.
South Carolina is extremely good up front. I think that we're really going to find out that, is there that next tier between the really good teams in the SEC and the teams that are all just kind of jumbled together. You have to have difference makers. And I think that the way that somebody like an Mason Thomas played today, the way that DJ Terry played to a certain extent, they played pretty well. You can go forward with that, but you're going to need to shore up all the other areas.
I'll say one thing to your point, George, about comparisons and things like that. There are some teams out there that pretty high on the hog right now, and I don't know if they should be. I'm thinking like seeing Michigan only beating Arkansas State by 10 at home today. Like, I don't know if that should be considered like a great win. But like Texas, I still don't know if they've played anybody yet.
I think Texas is really good. They're dominating teams. They are going out and dominating teams. UTSA is not very good, but
I don't know if Michigan's any good.
They aren't, but they dominated that game. At no point did they let them breathe.
Yeah, I mean, I think Texas is really good. I think that
I think Texas is good. Like I think Missouri's good. Like I think Texas, Ole Miss is good.
I think Texas is a 2-touchdown better than Missouri.
Well, yeah. But I also don't think Missouri is
maybe more.
I don't think Missouri's the 6th best team in the country either.
No. But they don't
of
play
all
anybody.
the teams that we talked about that like are risk for Oklahoma, Missouri is the one I continue to be the least worried about. Like I think Oklahoma absolutely can beat that team.
I think that there's in the SEC, there's Georgia, Texas, Alabama, and maybe Ole Miss. And then you have about 8 or so teams that are just all there kind of together.
I think Alabama's 2 touchdowns better than Texas.
Tennessee might be in that same first category.
Wow.
What'd you say?
That's crazy.
I think Alabama's 2 touchdowns better than Texas.
That's crazy.
No.
That's crazy.
No, that's a bad take.
Now I will say I have questions about Texas. Like I think a lot of work's being done on that Michigan win, and Michigan is guys. They couldn't run away from Arkansas State today. Like this isn't. Everybody's seeing defending national champions, and it's giving them a lot of street credit that I don't think they have earned.
I mean, I would hope that
if they hadn't,
who does Texas play next week?
Another nobody, and then they play Mississippi State.
UL Monroe.
UL Monroe, yeah.
Jeez, their schedule's
So they played Colorado State,
right
Michigan,
now.
UTSA, UL Monroe.
I think they're pretty good.
Now I will say what I am sure about: Archanon is down bad.
Yeah,
that
he looks
dude
good.
looks
he looks
real.
good.
Colorado State got
real.
beat pretty soundly by Colorado tonight, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know what to make of Texas. I think
Like
they're really
19.
good, but I also think they're very beatable. I think Georgia tonight showed they're beatable. Like
you underestimate how good Kentucky is on defense. They're very good. Their defense might be better than Oklahoma's.
That's great. Georgia should still, if Georgia's the team that I thought they were, I thought they would win. They should still win that game by 2 touchdowns or more. I mean, they looked.
That's kind of what Georgia does, though. It's like I said earlier.
Georgia's been pretty dominant.
It's like I said earlier. The best teams, like you said it, some teams just play crap
That's
games
what I'm saying,
every
yeah.
week. Georgia does that 2 or 3 times a year, and they always win. They did that tonight. Now they'll get it together,
problem is,
and they'll go out and they'll put 40 on the next person they play, probably.
Kentucky's problem when they play Georgia is they want to play football like Georgia, and they don't have Georgia's personnel.
On
like
offense.
they want to run and play defense and that kind of stuff, and they want to be physical with you. That's great until you run into your big brother.
Right, yeah.
I mean, they are Georgia light. I mean, like that's just what they are, even at their best, which we know is not right now. And Brock Vandegrift at least looked like a functional football player tonight, so that was something. But yeah, like I said, it's the same story. Like Kentucky, you're not. That was always my deal with if Michigan had run into Georgia last year. What are you going to muscle Georgia? You're gonna get physical with them? Okay, like that was never going to work, and Michigan got lucky, in my opinion, that they never had to fight that fight. So again, like I said, we'll see, but I think there are more questions. Now, I will say, if I'm talking the top of the SEC, Georgia's still there. Nobody should go crazy over tonight. To me, if Tennessee's not in the top 3 or 4, I don't even know what we're talking about.
I agree.
Like
That's a good call.
I think they are outstanding.
Yeah, I think so too.
I'll say this. I give Steve Sarkisian a lot of credit because he gets that team ready to play, and they play at a high level. I'm just not sure they're doing it against people that are pushing back.
I told Eddie this earlier when we were talking about Texas. Until Texas does it in the big games, and by big games I mean Oklahoma and Georgia this year, and even A&M to an extent, just because it's a big rivalry game, I just don't believe it. And I get it; they had a great year last year, but they still lost to Oklahoma in their biggest regular season game, and then they didn't beat Washington in the semifinal. They didn't play their best game, and so until Texas does that, and maybe they do, maybe they go win the national title this year. I think
took a pretty heroic effort though from Penix to beat them.
Okay, well, I don't know what you want me to say, Eddie. They still didn't win the game.
Give them credit.
I mean, they didn't win the game.
They were basically a handful of downs away from playing for a national title,
and so was Oklahoma a few years ago.
When?
But some of that, Eddie, is
2017.
Texas secondary was garbage last year.
That was 7 years ago.
I'm just saying, Eddie. They have not won the big one. People love to crown
like the
Texas.
record show, I'm not the one fighting this time.
I think Oklahoma State's pretty good too. I'm not talking about them winning the national championship.
I think Oklahoma State's
anything,
good.
I think they're a pretty good.
I think Oklahoma State's going to win the Big 12.
And I think Kansas State's pretty good too.
I'll say this: I always thought Alan Bowman was a good quarterback.
I don't know if OSU's going to beat Utah or. I
don't
guess
know.
they're going to have to get
Depends
Rising
on if
back.
Cam Rising comes.
Yeah,
back.
but
they're not going to Manhattan and winning. I don't think.
I think it's Utah and K-State. I think they're the two best.
I don't
teams.
trust Avery Johnson just yet. He makes a lot of plays, but his passing just hasn't been very accurate. But they looked good against Arizona.
I mean, but
hey,
again,
we
saw
trust Alan Bowman.
Yeah,
No.
I was going to say we saw what Jefferson was able to do with Oklahoma State a week ago.
Yeah,
Can we not count out the power of Scatty Boo in the Big 12 race?
Yeah, they're out. Arizona State
you
is
shut
out.
your mouth.
I don't know if Arizona State win more than 2 games in the Big 12.
They're not good, but you got to love Scatty Boo.
Hey, I think that what Kenny Dillingham has done, and he's a guy that we've talked about on the pod years ago, just in terms of what he was doing, Josh, when he was recruiting at Memphis all the way back when.
Yep.
I think he's a very, very good young coach.
By the way, Arizona State, their tight end, he's the largest human being that just does not look athletic, and yet all he does is catches passes. I can't even remember his name. I think he's number 7.
That's not shocking that you can't remember his name.
I'm sorry that I paid for dinner tonight.
It was Aaron Hernandez, I think. I think it was Aaron Hernandez.
Blake Roberts.
We'll get it out of you.
Anyway, so that's it. Sooners win at 34-19.
Special teams wise, I thought everything was pretty clean today outside of the delay game. But
by the way,
Josh,
did you think
Zach Schmidt kicking the ball out of bounds?
Did you think that punt hit the line of Elzinga's?
Did I?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
I didn't.
I was just kind of catching out of the corner of my eye.
I saw kind of a field level shot. Yeah.
Well, they had the pylon cam on television.
Eddie, I don't know if you've had a chance to see it, but that looked like a PGA guy hitting it about 3 yards behind the hole and just backing it up. That was unbelievable.
The one that they pinned him deep at
the 4-yard line.
Yeah, that was a nice punt. That
incredible
was really nice.
kick.
He pulled it back a little bit.
He's good, man.
Elzinga?
Yeah.
And he's funny,
I'd like to remind people he was not the opening starter last year.
Unreal.
That makes sense.
One of the all-time head scratchers.
Well, and look, I think do we kind of have to give Tyler Keltner credit because he kicked a 50-yarder that was good, but
I trolled George tonight. I was hoping he was
I told Eddie though, and he drilled the 50-yarder, so that was good. It didn't count though. But if Jackson Arnold doesn't scramble for that first down or for the touchdown at the end of the game, what's your confidence level on Tyler Keltner hitting a 40+ yard field goal there to go up 8?
Right now, it's 100%. But
I agree. 100%.
In the moment, I don't know.
In that moment, the way the game was going, I was just like, this just feels like a missed field goal waiting to happen.
Josh and Carey, did you after the pick 6?
Now I see why players' parents hate you.
Did it go through your mind that you might lose this game? Because it did for me. It was starting to feel like that you couldn't find anything offensively. And credit to them. They were able to kind of dig themselves out, and a lot of it had to do with the defense, but it got kind of clench your butt cheeks type moment.
Thanks to R. Mason Thomas for allowing everyone to unclench.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought that was a big moment, and maybe it's a big moment for him just in terms of building a little bit of confidence and getting some actual production on the field that you can take into this next game, because obviously the 2 tackles that Tennessee's going to throw out, it's going to be much tougher than it was today.
Yeah. Also, I do think OU's defense is really good, despite Danny's dad taking a subtweet at me today. Me and Steve are cool.
Happy for DG.
Oh, I gotta go see this.
DG today too to get a big win and actually put up numbers and put up personal numbers and numbers
good
on the scoreboard.
I think Oregon is still really good, despite the way that they played through the first 2 weeks.
I think so too. I think Oregon's.
They've always put up numbers. They've just had OU's been so good in the red zone.
Yeah,
Oregon's been the opposite
if
of OU
in
in the red zone.
If OU just take the ball over in the red zone, that's fine. Yeah. They've scored every time they've gotten in.
They just got to figure out how to get to the red zone.
To the red zone,
yeah.
All right, that's going to do it for us. Josh, thanks for staying up late with us as well, and we will see you guys back here. Don't forget, the instant reaction is up on YouTube, the YouTube channel. All the interviews will be on the YouTube editorial, or the Sooner Scoop editorial page. We got Bob Stoops on Scoop channel. Or Bob's, God damn it.
What?
Brent Venables. I am losing my mind.
Yeah, the Brent Venables press game, post-game press conference, yes. And the Zach Alley and Seth Luttrell and all the players are on SoonerScoop.com's editorial page.
I'm going to have to quit doing morning radio. It's killing me. All right, that's going to do
we
it.
Had no radio today.
That's going to do it. We will be back again on Monday with Josh McCuistion, yours truly, for the recruiting report. And then we'll see you again for the unofficial 40 on Wednesday, practice report, game day preview, all that good stuff. So thanks for listening. We'll see you back here next week after the Tennessee game, very late night. We'll see how mad we are, how mad you are after it's over. Thanks for listening.
Or happy. You never know.
Or could be ecstatic. You're exactly right. Thanks for listening to the Eskridge Lexus Postgame Podcast right here on Soonerscoop.com.